The Arnold Clark Reel sale is now on.
Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's Facebook and YouTube channel. Gordon Smith and Alan Ruff are with me here in the studio to talk about all the football stories from Thursday. Yeah, lots to get our teeth into. Let's start with that referee summit. Ian Maxwell, a man you know well, Ruffy, has decided that it's time the referees and the managers got together. They'll be heading to Perth. They'll be sitting down and chatting over some of the things that have perplexed them and angered them over the first half of the season. What do you think is going to be the main thing they want to talk about?
Well, I think obviously the personal stuff that's been going on, you know, particularly after games and away from the game itself. And I think the referees just want to clear the air. You know, I think we have to realise that they are very, very important in our game. You know, there needs to be some kind of liaison between them and the managers, because it seems to be the managers and the referees that seem to be falling out most of the time. So I think it's a clear the air. You know, I think we had the strike a few years back there, and I don't think we want to go down that road again.
Yeah, I think the managers want to air their views as well. Brendan Rodgers will be going. Stephen Gerrard's looking forward to it.
Well, I'm sure the SFA think it's necessary. I don't think they'd want to put a meeting in place. But no, obviously we've had the invite and we respect the invite, and I'll go along and listen to what's being said. If I'm asked for my opinion on certain things, then I'll give it. I don't know what the meeting is. I know it's going to be about, obviously, officiating and stuff, and we've been sent an agenda, but I won't have the answers on how it goes or what I'm expecting until I've probably been there and experienced it.
Yeah, the other aspect of this, I think maybe even a discussion to say, are we all going to make a commitment to try and get the clubs to bring in VAR? Could be another one, Gordon Smith. Over and above that, is there a need for maybe the managers to get a few words from the referees on respect?
I think there's works both ways. I think what you'll find is the manager's main cause or main irk on this whole thing is the fact that they say, well, our jobs are dependent on sometimes, you know, decisions that are made. They can actually, you know, end up being sacked, and that's always been the managers.
That's the Neil McCann situation.
It is. The managers have always had that, taking that on board and trying to put that across to referees. That's it. The referees themselves say, well, the mistakes are genuine. They say we need a bit more respect, and we need you to you know, not indicate after a game or insinuate there's any bias there if a decision's wrong. So that's what the summit, I think, will be about. Both sides giving their opinion on it, trying to form a relationship. One of the things that they do want from it, I would think, from the management point of view, would be some sort of consistency in terms of, you know, there's a lot of things that they can bring out and say, this was a decision that was made, and is this a red card then, or is it not? Because you've given this player a red card or a yellow card for it. This player didn't get anything for that. It looks as if it's the same instant.
So you're looking for clarity on and an explanation on why they've come to a decision.
Yeah, clarity and explanations on it, I think, are required too, in terms of saying, well, we need to understand so that the management and all the players are fully aware of what brings a certain, you know, whether it's what kind of card, a yellow or a red, to make sure that everybody knows that there's a common ground for this.
Yeah, you know, Ruffy, every year the referees, there's an invite at the start of the season for managers and referees to get together, to chat, to explain new rules, to understand what the interpretation will be on these rules. Some managers don't bother to go. Some managers do, to their credit. But over and above that, I think also something that, two things, I'll just pick up on your point about bias, Gordon. I think more often than not, the managers have actually, if anything, maybe been personal attacks on individuals for their performance, but the bias and the conspiracy theorists, mainly that's punters and pundits, Ruffy, which at times has been crazy this season.
Yeah, as far as the managers are concerned, you can see when you've been in the game, you can see why managers react right after a game. Gordon's touched on it. It's a livelihood, you know. It's not just about the manager, it's the players, it's everybody at the club. And you can see why right after a game some managers come out with some things. And I think if you got them the next day, they probably regret what they've said. But they've said it. But I think the whole thing, we need to get our head round it. Referees will always make mistakes.
Yeah.
They'll always make them, you know, they don't mean to do it, you know, but I think the interpretation of the laws of the game is something that everybody needs to get together and say, look, this is why showing something, this is why this was a yellow card and this was why it was a red card, so that they could get their heads around it. Because I don't think, and I'm throwing myself into this as well, I don't think I know the rules of the game.
Yeah, no, footballers, you're not alone. Footballers generally don't know all the rules of the game. But the one thing I would say is, even if we manage to get VAR to help the referees, which I think that system will be coming sooner than many people expect, but even that throws up arguments. I mean, they were talking about, an argument over a player's foot was offside on a fine line between 3 or 4 players and a decision on VAR. Yeah,
absolutely, and I think these ones, that they're very, very tight, and therefore it can go either way. If it's that close, I always think that I would say the positivity should go towards the player, the attacking side of the game, rather than the defensive side. If it's so close as that, then you don't give offside as such. But VAR will come in. It'll be different. I think we'll bring it in this country. I think ultimately I once push it forward and saying it should be given on the basis of the technical area have two challenges a game, and that's the way it should be. Because let's be honest, the fourth official kind of something to look at, and I don't see why the referee, who then does react to his assistants, telling them, this happened, and he changes his decision or gives a decision based on that. I don't see why he can't just listen to what a fourth official has to say, who's seen it, rather than having to come across to the side of the park to watch it himself. I think he can actually take a fourth official's opinion on it. Yeah, well, I think it's coming. I think there'll be moves to try and put finance in place. If not for the summer, then the season after. I think it will be here. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what, if anything, is leaked from that meeting between referees and managers, and maybe if there's a common ground where they release a press statement just saying how they're going to move forward. So don't hold your breath. Let's look at some of the signings. There's non-stop activity around so many clubs across Scotland, and all with the January transfer window in mind. League titles on the agenda for some clubs, and also Scottish Cup. We'll be discussing those matches shortly. Celtic linked with Scott McTominay, in negotiations with the Manchester United youngster. Now, I asked the question, if they're interested in Scott McTominay, he's not coming to Celtic to kick his heels. Does that spell, more time on the bench for the Celtic captain, Scott Brown? Yeah, well, I think on the evidence of the Rangers game, I don't know whether it was everything that was going on with Scott Brown or whether, he was off the pace of the game right for the start. There's no doubt about that. Maybe, he hadn't trained enough, but certainly that is a position. I think when he's not in the team, Celtic seem to have more energy. The younger players seem to be more about them. Celtic seem to play a different style of game. But I mean, you're right. If McTominay's not playing with Man United, he's not going to say, right, I'm not playing here, I'm not going to go up there and not play. So there has to be some dialogue with that. Yeah. Do you think it spells the end for him? I don't think so necessarily, because I think he's still got a lot to offer. And I think that once he gets his fitness back, he's a controlling type of player. I think he's a higher standard than McTominay, even although McTominay is a lot younger just now. I think that if you look at what he's done so far in the game at his age he's at, I think Scott Brown's a better player than him and controls the game a lot better, can play a more attacking style. McTominay probably needs a bit of experience now, because it looks like he's not going to get a game under Solskjaer. It looks like he's been bombed a bit out the playing squad at the moment. So he probably needs to go somewhere to get a game. But I'm surprised it's going to be Scotland. Yeah, OK. We'll wait to see how that develops over the next 24 hours. Brendan Rodgers talking today, distanced himself from the speculation linking him with the Leicester City job. Claude Puel, would you believe, who's still the Leicester City manager, says anyone who's putting money on Rodgers arriving at the King Power Stadium is going to lose a lot of money. So Brendan Rodgers still on the hunt for the 2 remaining trophies in Scotland. He reckons Kieran Tierney is one of those players that he's going to give him time to be fit for the Europa League, which means I think they're holding off on a big operation for him, Ruffy, just to use him for selected games. If anything,
Tierney apart. He expects to try and sign more players before the window closes, and some players will be going out. One of them has signed a pre-contract, which is Scott Allen to Hibs. Great bit of business by Hibs. I wonder if they'll try and stump up a bit of cash to get him out now.
Yeah, I would think so. I think that the boy himself personally must be a wee bit fed up going out on loan, and being banded about all over the place and then discarded at Celtic. I think it's time now in his career. He sort of ties himself into a club, and obviously I think Hibs are an ideal club for him. He proved the last time that he was there he was a success. So yeah, I don't know what kind of money Celtic would be talking about, but certainly Hibs haven't been splashing a lot of cash just now, so you would think they'd be able to afford them.
He fitted in really well with McGeoch and McGinn, didn't he? That was a tremendous middle three that Hibs had during that spell, and it was a shame when it all broke up for them and they lost him. But they've got an opportunity to get him back now, and if he fits in with the players that's there, he can certainly do a job because he's a very creative player. Yeah,
what a wasted talent Scott Allen has been. I think he's a great player. I mean, I love watching him play. But to have just over 100 appearances for a 27-year-old is woeful. There's been a lot of decisions he's made, some of them I think maybe with an agent advising him financially. But other than that, I mean, the Celtic signing has just been a disaster. It's a waste of time. I don't know why they signed them.
No, and I think people at Celtic would have to answer that one. He's not been the only player like that who's went there and not been given a chance. So, that's why I'm saying I think we'll see the best of him if he could just stay at a club for maybe 2 or 3 years and get more games obviously under his belt.
Yeah, you push the boat out for him though, because Hibs, when you look at what Neil Lennon's craving for, he's lost 2 or 3 players, especially in the midfield, and he needs to make a real push in the second half of this season.
Oh, definitely. That's why I think there's no point in letting the boy, if he was signing a pre-contract when you're actually still a first-team player, the opposite situation is like the boy Jones at Kilmarnock, who's a regular first-team player, has signed a pre-contract. Now, the big decision is whether you keep him on there or let him go. I noticed that Clark was the manager saying he doesn't want the fans to boo him and all that sort of thing.
But he's going to stay.
But he looks like he's going to stay there, so he's got that's different story altogether from Scott Allen, who is not going to feature at Celtic whatsoever.
Yeah.
He's as well moving on now.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Interestingly enough, Neil Lennon's got a strange way of trying to motivate his strikers. He says Florian Camberry doesn't work hard enough, and the player's not happy with that. He's got 9 goals this season, Ruffy. He doesn't do enough for me either.
Well, he did enough in small doses last season. I think some of the goals he scored were terrific. He looked the part when he came initially. He's saying he's injured, that's why he's not at the 100%. So I think, like all strikers, I think if you start scoring goals regularly again, you get your confidence back. And I think we've all saw that he's got something. I just think Neil Lennon's just trying to squeeze a lot more out of him.
That's exactly what it is. It's like Neil Lennon's seen what he can offer, and then what he's more or less saying is that he's not got the consistency with that. And to get that, you have to work harder at it. That's what he's trying to get from him.
Yeah.
Is just to get that bit more, so you on a more consistent level, he's producing what he can actually do.
Yep, okay. As far as across the city, I think Hearts will be delighted that this weekend in the Scottish Cup they'll be able to welcome back John Souttar against Livingston at Tynecastle on Sunday. That's going to be a huge bonus for them. They're not giving up on possibly trying to sway Arnaud Djoum to stay that little bit longer as well, Ruffy. I like him as a player in the middle of the park.
Yeah, and just recently started getting forward. He started getting into goal scoring opportunities and scoring as well. So, that's the kind of player you want at the club. But he's obviously identified that he maybe want to go somewhere else. Well, maybe they can persuade him to stay.
Yeah, I can't think of 2 better pundits on the programme today to talk about age. Does the number worry you? Because I can't believe Gary McAllister mentions it in some of the papers this morning. He's not worried about the average age of some of the stars who'll be playing in the first team for Rangers in the second half of the season. I mean, I think it's 145, the average of 4 players. McGregor, I don't think anybody can argue about him. He's 36 and he's been magnificent. McCauley's 39, Davis 34 and Defoe 36. But dare I say it, because of the level we're operating at in Scotland, these guys will do a job.
Absolutely. I mean, it is about their fitness. That's the the main thing about a player. You get certain players that get to a certain age, they've actually run the course of their careers. Others can continue into a good age. So I don't see why, much more so nowadays than in years gone by, players do play to an older age. The problem is that you sometimes, if the player's got something to offer but he relies on other people to do the running, that sometimes can happen with older players too. That's a problem if you've got too many of them at that age in the team. So this will be a test for Rangers. I know it's only a short period to go. We're only half a season in order, and that's what obviously Steven Gerrard is trying to create, something that if he can get these players just on a burst for half a season to get them to do it, the main thing he's trying to do is obviously win the title.
Yeah, Jermaine Defoe won't be worried about running out at Cowdenbeath, Ruffy, but he'll certainly, I think, have a little double take when he does run out in a Rangers jersey.
Yeah, he certainly will. From where he's been in the stadiums that he's played in, I'm sure when he runs out of that tunnel, he'll be having a look about the place and going, why? You know, it's a stadium with no atmosphere whatsoever. The surface will be reasonably good. I think it's improved, but it will be an eye-opener for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Just as long as he doesn't get hit there with a stock car, he'll be all right. Over and above that, Rangers have got players possibly more to come. Certainly won't be Adam Lallana. I thought Barry Ferguson was going to spontaneously combust last night at the thought of it. The manager rubbished that today. Also said no truth in Ravel Morrison. And there was talk of Jordan Rossiter, Dundee United, interested in taking him on loan. I think there's a possibility, certainly from the manager's words, that he could be on his way. But no such move for Ross McCrory.
When we came in, we inherited a player that was hurt mentally. I think he'd had a tough time in certain games before we come in. I think his confidence was affected. So we've had to be really careful with Ross, how we've played him and how we've introduced him in certain games. But what I will say is he's worked extremely hard on the training pitch, and he's growing and he's getting better. His confidence is coming back, his belief's coming back. And I think in the last 4 or 5 performances, actually, he was immense, not just in the Old Firm. And it's a shame that he's suspended for Cowdenbeath, because he had the shirt. Unfortunately, his suspension gives someone else an opportunity, but I'm delighted with Ross. I think he's got an incredible future here. I think he's a potential future captain of the club, and he won't be going anywhere else but Rangers.
What an incentive that is, Gordon, when the manager says he's a potential future captain.
Oh, definitely. I mean, what a boost that is for the kid to get praise like that by somebody like Steven Gerrard, who's been at the highest level in the game, and then also stating that he's a potential captain. That means that, you know, that you're almost like saying that down the line he's going to be a regular first-team player. That's what he's saying there. And I do believe that he's been outstanding. I think he's had a tremendous spell of late in the team. He started off as a centre-back and then got moved into midfield. He's been very comfortable in there. I do believe he can end up back at centre-back, though. I think once you've got that midfield experience and the type of centre-back who you can defend, you can win the ball in the air, but you can also pass the ball and get involved in the play. That's maybe what he's looking to eventually get as well. You want a centre-back who can actually start the play off there, and that's exactly the type of player he's going to be.
Yep. Just one little footnote on Aberdeen. They look as if they're going to get Max Lowe back for the remainder of the season on loan from Derby County, because Frank Lampard's bringing in one of his old mates, Ashley Cole. Nice bit of business if you can get that, Ashley Cole.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? You know, they seem to drift away to America, and you think that's them just seeing out their career. And they can see where that championship's going. It's a really competitive league, and he'll obviously do a good job for them.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, Gordon, one other little story that caught my eye down south. Marcelo Bielsa has been telling everybody why and how he spies on every team in the championship. I just wonder. I don't think it's right that managers should send spies to training. I think training is sacrosanct, and then if you want to do your homework, do it while you're watching them in other games.
I agree with that. I've never really known it, the MD to admit to be doing anything like that, a team saying send to training, because at the end of the day, as you say, it's sacrosanct, it's a private thing, how you train the players, how you prepare, you base your tactics and everything on what you've seen from the matches, not necessarily what you're going to see from training, because a lot of the times they're working on the system, so he'll actually know the team in advance he's going to be playing against, and I think that takes away a bit from the game. And as someone said, it's disrespectful to a degree. I know everybody will say it's fantastic management what preparation, but I just don't think it's the right way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, as Frank Lampard pointed out, every manager does a lot of work preparation as well, but certainly not sending spies to games. Not too many people, I think, would be spying on you and the Thistle team in the 70s up at Rickazy. Certainly, there's been a few spies that watched Chick Charlie, but he quickly managed to fend them off.
I think if there was any spies watching us, we'd know who they were. I think the undercover dress would be spotted right away.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, if only for the fact they were wearing a dress. Anyway, on to the fixtures. Here's a look at the Scottish Cup. Okay, you two guys, give us the shock out of the Scottish Cup fixtures. Is it going to be in that first little batch there? Cowdenbeath Rangers, Auchinleck Talbot against Ayr United, Aberdeen Stenhousemuir, Dundee Queen of the South, East Fife Morton, Hibs Elgin City, or Inverness East Kilbride. Are you going to take one from that section?
No, I'm not taking one for that section. I know everybody's talking about Auchinleck and Ayr United. It will be a fireball of a game, but I think Ayr United have got good players down there and they'll be able to get through that one.
Okay,
well Peter and I argue about this every year. If you see a shock, then it's not a shock.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
If you forecast a shock, it's not good. It's not.
We can still argue about it because the shock is
Shocks you don't expect it.
Well, it is guesswork. I mean, to be honest with you,
Absolutely.
it's guesswork, and it would still be a shock. Let's look at that second batch of. There you have it: Killyfor for Montrose, Dundee United, Motherwell, Ross County. Stranraer Thistle. Oh, that could be a shock. Wraith Rovers, Dunfermline, St Johnstone Hamilton, St Mirren Alloa, Celtic Airdrie, and Hearts against Livingston. I'm going to take Stranraer.
The shock for me would be if Airdrie won at Celtic Park.
Well, there you are.
That would be a complete shock.
Well, there you are. See, you see.
So there you go.
And on that note, I'm going to leave you with Gordon's last words there. Bear them in mind. Thanks very much to Ruffy and Gordon Smith. Don't forget, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can get the football show on Monday to Friday, 6 o'clock, Facebook and YouTube as well. From Ruffy, from Gordon, and from myself, Peter Martin. Don't forget to comment as well on all you've heard. Thanks for watching.
The Arnold Clark Reel sale is now on.